And a very good morning to you. This is time we go through the big stories of the day. It's time for your newspaper review this morning. We look at the front pages of the dailies and, of course, jump into the big stories with Marcus and Nduta. As always, front page of the PD, killers should not inherit property, declares Kinoti. The Succession Act debate appears to be a hot potato that most lawyers are not keen to discuss openly. That's what they're leading with as far as the front page of the PD is concerned. Who gets what? Cohen heirs to be revealed. That's something that the Standard is leading with. MCAs win big in governor's push for change of law. That's a quite interesting story right there. They now have the Ugatuzi initiative. So you have your BBI, you have your Punguza Mzigo, and the governors feel that they can throw their weight also behind the referendum push as well. And that's what's happening there. You can get that story on the front page of the Standard. Front page of the Star, Waweru, don't open my husband's will. Sarah claims it's evident that the confidential nature of the will has been severely compromised. That's the story that you can get, of course, and that's the lead in the Star. Front page of the Daily Nation, my battle for Kibra threatens handshake. President Kenyatta's endorsement of Mariga's candidature in city by-election puts him at loggerheads with ODM's Odinga, throwing into a spin their famous deal and the outcome of the yet-to-be-released BBI report. Who's fooling who? That's a question that's been asked by the Daily Nation, and it makes the front page of the Daily Nation as well. And finally, the Business Daily. What's the date today? We are around the 20th of September. Yes, your wallet is telling you that there are signs it might be getting to the ICU, but Kenya is fourth in Africa as billionaires hit 356. So don't say hakuna pesa Kenya. Use the appropriate phrasing. South Africa ranks top with 2,169 billionaires, Egypt 932, while Nigeria has 531. We'll be touching on that, of course, later on right here on the show. Let's jump into the stories and now get more detail on that. Marcus Olang, Nduta Waweru, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. How's the week been so far?
Fantastic, actually.
Good,
yes, good stuff.
Yes,
and I can see now you guys are good to go.
Yes, oh, yeah.
Since I've been taken of your various beverages, we can do this.
Yes.
Let's look at the PD's front page right there. Killers should not inherit property, declares Kinoti. Talking about the Succession Act, they have been brought right into debate. And even as he talks about this, most people can see what he's alluding to.
Yes.
There's only one case that they're talking about right now, and it has been brought to the fore.
Yes.
The will is about to be read as well. She hasn't been convicted as yet. So the big question is, what does it mean? Because we can't declare you the rightful owner of what has been inherited by this estate, and then you're found guilty. So you're like, oh no, bring back the cup. Now it's not yours anymore. There's a really catch-22 there, Nduta, don't you think?
I think so. And the interesting thing about this is that when you're convicted, you're considered dead. If you're convicted of murder, you're considered dead. So there is no way a dead person can inherit another dead person's property.
Right.
And as you've seen, the story says the lawyers are not willing to speak about this because they know where their bread is buttered, and they know that anything they might say might compromise their jobs and might compromise their clients.
Right.
So there is no much information about it. But it's an interesting thing, and the fact that it has been there for the last 39 years is also quite baffling. Yes. I didn't know. I found out yesterday when he said this, and I was like, we have such a law.
Right, and that's a funny thing because it was brought to the fore yesterday, and it's been there for over 30 years, yet we've never had it at play or enforced. And now the DCI boss is saying this is something the police will actually, follow through to the end and enforce.
Yes, it was actually surprising to discover this. Now, you see, as you say, the story came out, I've seen it today. Seeing as I've been offline most of yesterday.
Right.
The fact that this is a thing that we actually have to talk about, that I can be married to you and one of us decides, oh, you know what, we are rich, let me decide to keep the riches to myself. And actually, this is getting away with it, and people have been getting away with it. And perhaps it is also to give a wider narrative and a wider story to the fact that laws in Kenya seem to be enforced when rich people are affected. Because if this is something that has been in existence for a while, then the fact that it is only now coming to the fore, presumably because of a particular case, it's also something to speak to how we implement and enforce our laws and systems.
Yeah, true. But also there's the question of shoddy investigations by the police and alleged corruption in the courts. So it depends with how much money you have. It depends with who you know in the courts and all that. And this is also interesting because it brings to question a lot of these stories where people murder their spouses over insurance.
Right.
So you discover your partner has 150M in insurance and decide, let this guy go, I'll handle it. And then now, question comes to the conviction part. Because you could be accused, you could go to
The
be
case is still
charged,
in trial.
yes, in trial and all that. So unless there is a conviction, this law is still as good as dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So there has to be a conviction, and that means that there has to be a lot of processes to go through.
Right.
Witnesses, investigation, evidence, and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
And with this specific case, of course, because the will is supposed to be read today, I believe, and even as that happens, so she has said, as the wife, that she will not be there for the reading of the will. But even if property has been left to her, do we put it in limbo as a suspect of this particular case? I mean, we'll have to get, the legal way forward on that, because clearly there's an issue and probably another loophole that will be found right there. And it makes the front page of your People Daily this morning. Because it's a Friday, we jump straight into your spice section of your PD. Indomitable number 9. Of course, right now we've only been talking about Kibra because of the by-election that's up and coming for November the 7th. But also looking at it, it's a hotbed of talent. Just looking at the people who have come from there, representing that area. You know Refiga, you know K24, you know Mamito, you know Simple Boy.
Yeah.
Amwambia mwache mihadarati.
Exactly.
Octopizo, of course, calling himself number 9 right there. We saw Chris Darling offering himself also to be part of that by-election. Didn't go his way in terms of nomination. But this is also a narrative that we're not talking about. The fact that, yes, we have all of these political leaders flocking to this place, but there are actually other people who are doing amazing things in that same constituency. Yes.
And precisely because these are people that have grown up in this space. I do know for a fact, for example, that a lot of these people are people who have grown up with others around them. It's a case of, in this particular case, especially in Kibera, it's a case of iron sharpening iron. Precisely because they grew up so together, so enclosed amongst themselves. I don't mean enclosed, English escapes me for a bit. But because they grew up in such a manner that they keep pushing each other, encouraging each other, because there's always this drive, some of the finest that we have today are indeed from this particular space. And it's something that is not about to slow down anytime soon.
Right.
Are we doing enough to support that, to recognize that, to give the systems? It's now goes back to one of the conversations we had, I think, about 2 weeks ago, where we asked, are we truly indeed giving value and effort into the kind of giftings and talents that need to be honed amongst the generation that's coming up and every single person that's going through our systems? Are we giving enough to them?
Right.
And are we supporting them?
That's
in
the
their
question
quest?
that needs to be asked. And even as you look at that, some people also talking about the fact that, okay, fine, you have all of these people who have allowed, share of voice when it comes to either social media platforms or society at large. While the politicians do their thing and make a political fray out of it, shouldn't you have these same sons and daughters of the area coming in to do their own civic education, not to campaign for any candidate, but to tell the people the issues that they need to be thinking about as they move forward, by election or not? Yeah,
but they always do that, because some of the things they say is Kibra is also known for other not so good things, and these people come out to complain about it, to let people know, like vijana tuache mihadarati. It is, people talk about it like it's a fun thing, but when you go to the ground, you need to learn what these people are going through. So the issues of crime, issues of substance abuse, and these artists take it and play it out and let people know about it. And also, as Marcus has said, some of the things that come up is how to commercialize this space. Some of them have the talent. They have the talent, but they do not have that particular support. They do not have financial management knowledge where they know how much money should I invest in my music, how much should I use in this and that, and all that. And then I think it's time for everyone, even themselves, especially since there are quite a number of NGOs that handle talent management and all that. If they can continue training these guys, Akina Refiga, if they can keep up, continue doing their work of identifying talent and making it work, then we'll have a very we'll have unstoppable music coming from Kibra.
Right.
Yes.
And of course, the highlights of that particular area and the talent from there found in your copy of your PD. You can get your copy. It's free, by the way, so get fully informed as of that. Move on now from the PD to the Standard. Of course, the front page of the Standard is matters politics, and the governors putting their push as far as the referendum is concerned and all they feel needs to be addressed. They also want a prime minister and deputy prime ministers put in place. And all of this, you see headlines where you see MCAs winning big, other people winning big.
Yes.
I want to see the time you'll see the title where, the Kenyan
Kenyan.
citizen, as we like to call her, Wanjiko,
Yes.
wins big.
big.
We haven't seen that headline yet, Marcus.
In a very long time. And if you look at some of the highlights of the story, it's all about getting extra, was it a car grant?
Yes, there
and
was
an extra this, that,
low
or the
mortgage,
other.
low cost mortgage.
Exactly. You look at you, me, the person watching right now, the person not watching right now who's walking to work. It's been a very long time since we've seen any effort to go into making their lives, our lives, any easier. You think about things like these. So they're talking about, for instance, the car grants. See, we get a transport grant as well, please. Just for a month. For everyone. Which goes back to now, if we're talking about transport grant, technically it's all about going back to systems. We are seeking to make lives of these MCAs and these people in office easier. Yet the everyday Kenyan still needs to work even harder to make sure that we're making this elected person's life easier.
Right.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
And even as Marcus gets tired on that, some people say this is just governors looking for a way to also remain politically relevant.
Yes.
If we all talk about the referendum, let's get ourselves also some spotlight by having our own push with our own spin to it.
I think so too, because also if they're saying Ugatuzi is devolution, if they're saying it's about devolution and at the top of the list is just governors across board, who are you devolving the services to, as Marcus has asked? Because as much as they want to say that this is for the interest of Kenyans, I don't think so. Because the Kenyan doesn't feel in this mix. They say all counties must have representation in cabinet. They want to return the system where cabinet secretaries are picked from parliament.
Only a
they
third should come
from outside. They want to have a prime minister office with 2 deputies. How are we going to manage that? Already now we are complaining that we are wasting a lot of money going to wages and all that. So how are we going to manage this as well?
Well, as you can see, the headline right there, it had nothing to do with you and me as of now. Seems like the big winners are the MCAs, of course, as far as this governor's push is concerned. But you can also get the details of that in your copy of The Standard. Therein, within The Standard, we have the Pulse magazine. They're talking about fine figure, vicious verse, with new hip-hop acts like Brown Sugar and Betty T bursting into the scene, threatening to upset the status quo. They're talking about some of these new cats in town. Again, we spoke about this last week, the fact that there's a bigger and a stronger push for new acts who are feeling like this is our time, and you're coming in and you're coming. It's not a question of please.
Yes, it's
we're
not.
here. Give us the space.
And I'm glad they're giving the space to women in the industry. For the longest time, they have been considered like back end, unless there is one who's super perfect, the one who does the beat, unless it's that kind of a person. But at least now we have a spread. We're talking about all these things and all these female artists who are coming on the show. But for me also, I have a big issue. As
I was waiting for this.
Yes.
I was.
Because an MC is an MC, whether you're male or female.
Right.
So I don't know how we have the
femc?
pretty soft-spoken femc.
Yes.
If you are referring to female MCs as femcs, then you should refer to male MCs as memcs. Because it's just an MC. It's like how you say a poet and a poetess. A poet is a poet.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that every time we talk about, the vast majority of the time when we talk about female talent, it's qualified by the pretty, the figure. There's always first let's look at what they look like. Also they're talented.
Yes.
Right.
But also, I mean.
Yeah, because you could never find a male artist or male MC written with his endowments.
Yes.
it's rare.
You don't
But
hear handsome male MC.
No.
Rare.
You don't hear handsome
Rarely.
Calligraph Jones. You don't hear handsome Octopizzo. No. But you go to the other side of the spectrum, or the beautiful ecstatic, or the beautiful son.
Yeah. And then even the contrast in terms of, oh, she's soft-spoken, but when it comes to the verse, she's
That's so
boom.
yes.
So they're being judged on different scales.
Yes,
Standards are a bit
very
different
much,
as far as
very much.
I wouldn't call them female. I wouldn't call them femcs.
Yes, just call them MCs.
MCs.
Yeah, I did mention
Not
the
even female
MCs.
MCs, just MC.
Yeah, end of story.
It's a story you can get that there, but you see, it cuts across every sector. We have actors and actresses. We have comedians and comedians. I was also told even a female comedian is a comedian.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. So clearly there seems to be a division and different standards.
Yeah, if it's too hard, let's do Kiswahili, because Kiswahili is one of gender-neutral languages.
Yes.
When you say nilienda or alienda, it doesn't indicate if the one who went is a man or a woman.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Swahili is easier.
I would like. I'm glad that the fields in which I work, the words are not. It's writer, photographer.
Right.
It's not writeress, photographeress, which sounds like it should be part of a song. Photographer.
Oh my goodness. Also, another story that's in the Pulse magazine this morning. A Kothe reveals she's pregnant. Well,
When?
according to the Pulse, that's the thing. In a witty post that she has put up, she has revealed that for the third successive time that she's not only pregnant, but with a baby girl. This week, we're also talking about the fact that she went to Parliament and had to be given a lesso to be covered up. Is this a lady who just knows how to manipulate every form of media to get the attention on her anytime she needs it?
I think the Parliament thing is the Parliament that made her famous. It's not her.
Yeah.
Because for Akothe, this is how she dresses. This is her usual, I'm a businesswoman, I'm going to handle my business.
Right.
And then she got into Parliament, and Parliament was like, no, that is not how you come here, which is a whole issue, because why?
Yes.
I don't understand. And I was being told even the journalists that work in Parliament are not required to put such skirts. They have to go beyond your knees. And I don't know. I have so many questions about it that I just need to sit down with the people who came up with this law so that we can have one-on-one.
One of the deputy speaker had spoken about appropriate dressing and how it's supposed to be for men. You're supposed to have it's supposed to have a tie, socks, shoes as you go into the house.
But what is appropriate dressing? According to whom? 100 years ago, appropriate dressing was very different from what we know it as today.
Right.
What is, this is also taking into consideration the fact that culture, yes, does evolve and does change. However, the fact that we seem to have adopted this, this is an African kind of stance to most things. An African, Have you seen any pictures of us from over back then?
Right.
When?
Right.
It's ridiculous. One, two. When it comes back specifically what you've mentioned in terms of Parliament and how it enforces its rules, this for me called back to the time when, unfortunately, I forget the name. There was a lady who had to come to work because she was coming to work with her child. And because she came to work with her child and needed to feed her child, she was thrown out of the chambers, which my levels of tired are now tired.
Do you feel you're really focusing on the sideshows? That's what we're doing right now?
I don't think so, because it's an important conversation at this time. The baby issue, which was also a very big issue, came at the time when you're talking about the breastfeeding week.
Yes.
Right.
It was that time we were focusing on how offices and organizations must make it possible and comfortable for mothers to lactate. And now this woman shows up in Parliament with a child, and then everything is in uproar.
And that she had to apologize for it.
It doesn't make sense.
Why?
So
you're apologizing for doing what a mother
is
ought to
supposed
be
to do.
doing.
Yes, that's exactly the question.
Right.
And then other things came up in terms of the kinds of people who are in Parliament and who have been accused of one thing or the other. Why are they the ones that are brought in so easily? And then these people who, quote unquote, are doing immoral things are the ones that are told to leave the chambers. Yeah, Akothe with her skirt, or cover herself with a lasso is not allowed in Parliament because of the length of her skirt. But somebody who's stolen millions from Kenyans, you know, because even Kenyans themselves are complaining.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to also point out the way she articulates is so golden. I love her.
Right.
Because now the key one of the big takeouts from this was, and I think it was a trending topic for the whole day.
Yes.
I saw some people referring to it as the gospel according to Akothee.
Right.
My legs are longer than the skirt. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
It's not the skirts that's short.
It's not the skirts that's
It's the
short.
legs that are long.
Yeah.
You can get more of those details, of course, in your copy of your Standard right there. Front page of the Star, Werimo, don't open my husband's will. Sarah claims it's evident the confidential nature of the will has been severely compromised. That as it may, I'm also wanting to put the media, as far as it's concerned, into focus as well. Because when it comes to such cases, it seems like we really want to get the dirt therein. Even as the court says, okay, fine, you shall only get what is in the public domain. Do you have this interest in people's misfortune? Once it's gone wrong, we want to know what really happened in there. There's no time for grieving. We don't give people space. Where your misery is, Nduta, is where the camera lens and every other journalist will be waiting for the sensational part of this story.
Yeah. I don't know about the sensational bit of it, because I know Kenyans are very interested in such kinds of stories, because besides putting quote unquote the rich and the famous on the spotlight, there is also that part of they're also human. They must have something.
They have
a
flaws
flow,
as well.
yes. So when it comes to such kinds of stories, a lot of people would want to see, besides all the money, what is it they do behind all that?
Right.
So it makes it easier, for lack of a better word, for the focus to go there.
Right.
Yes.
So it's a public appetite, Marcus. We just want to rip the curtain and see these guys who have all of this money.
Yes.
Do they bleed like you and me? Is that what we want?
It's natural human instinct. Unfortunately, it speaks to the worst side of our nature as human beings. But we do like to see there is a ridiculous level of and twisted level of joy in seeing that someone else can also be human. Right. And even beyond that, it's a fact that we like to see what's behind the curtain, as you point out. That's why reality shows are one of the biggest genres in entertainment, precisely because, yes, this person is a celebrity or this person is so-and-so, but behind the curtain, what is it that they're about?
Right. And that's what we want with all of this now. Okay. And as far as Udaku is concerned, this case is continuing as well. Coverage on that is being given and makes the front page, of course, of the Daily Nation right there. We'll finish off with the Business Daily. As you spoke about, it's the 20th of the month. We usually know in our salary cycles how you feel at this time.
Yes.
It's 10 days, but the 10 days feel like another month right in there. And as you grapple with that, Kenya fourth in Africa as billionaires hit 356. We are behind South Africa, Egypt, and Nigeria. This from the Africa Wealth Report for 2019 that was published. And at times, some people ask, in an economy where we are saying we need austerity measures, we're not getting enough money, the country is out there getting loans, we see this and we wonder, where are these 356 individuals getting their money from? How is it? What are they doing that we are not, Marcus?
It's what you said earlier on, and it actually encapsulates it perfectly. There is money. Just the where is the question. And if someone has a secret to this, if any one of these 356 people would like to mentor someone, I would like to volunteer myself for mentorship. That aside, though, it again goes back to we've hinted at it throughout this conversation. Structurally, our society as Kenya is structured. I speak to Kenya specifically because this is where I live and this is what I have experience in. We are structured in such a way that money sort of stays at a certain point and hardly ever comes down. Again, going back to the headline earlier on, was it the Standard about the MCAs? Once you get to a certain, it just keeps concentrating in that point. More and more we are going towards that, money is going towards that space rather than it's trickling out to different people, different spaces. At some point, society and history has proven this repeatedly in different eras in civilization before. We will break.
Nduta, your take on this?
What Marcus has said is true, because even the previous surveys have shown that there is a strong link between politics and wealth accumulation. So that means people get to a certain point of societal status, and then that's where the money starts pouring in. And then remember, they're saying these billionaires are the list is minus any liabilities. So they did not do the gross, they did the net, which speaks a lot about the nature of systems and businesses we're doing here in the country.
Ponder on that as we go into the break and think about what you're doing right now. When they say politics is money and money is politics, I mean, the numbers don't lie as far as that's concerned. But that has been your newspaper review this morning. As always, Marcus Olang, Nduta Waweru, thank you so much for waking up this early and sharing your views as far as the big stories of the day is concerned. We're going to take a short break at this particular point in time, but when we come back, you know, DJ Graz is raring to go on the ones and twos. So how about you send your request in right now? He'll do the business right here on the show. This is K24 This Morning.